Quail log, May 2nd, 2022. So I've now had the quail for a week and a half, I believe, and they're definitely getting used to living in their cage in my workshop. They've definitely got a lot more comfortable with me being around. It used to be if I was down here, they would go huddle in a corner and wouldn't do anything. Nowadays, I'm able to at least sit here and watch them every once in a while, and if I'm lucky enough, they'll sit and eat. Part of the reason they're eating right now, see if I can show it, is I gave them a few extra mealworms tonight so that they would have something to possibly poke their heads through while I was sitting here or talking about them. A few things that have changed, as you could see in the trays, there was some white dust in there. That is oyster shells and calcium, I think it is. Since I figured out that they were at least 5 or 6 weeks old, they definitely probably needed to start having some calcium in there. When I put the calcium in there, they usually pick out some of it and eat it, and the first few times they ate it away without any issues. It was the last, when I put it in today, they still have some left over, so I'm guessing they seem to eat what they need and leave what they don't. So the one thing that they very rarely leave any extra of is the mealworms. That is definitely their favorite thing, and we'll get them out and moving no matter what. The other thing that happened this weekend that was a little bit different than normal is I bought a pie pan. That pie pan was in there yesterday for I guess from about 4 o'clock in the afternoon until this morning. I filled the bottom with sand, put it in there, and all the birds went to the far wall over there and they hid. They didn't want anything to do with it, at least when I was sitting down here. After a couple of minutes, I left and went up to the house, and I will show you in the back here. See if I can see it. Yeah, you can see it somewhat. There is a little camera back there that you can somewhat see. So I was able to watch the quail from up at the house, and by the time I had got up to the house, one of them was in the sand, throwing it everywhere, having a heyday. The other 5 were up against the wall and cowering and panting and wanted nothing to do with it. It probably took another 10-15 minutes before even the second one would venture in and drink or get even near the pie pan. But after about a half hour, I had 3 of them in the pie pan that were just throwing sand everywhere. They were having a jolly good time and playing in their sandbox. By the time supper had rolled around and everyone was fed, Emily was fed, I came back down here, saw that the pie pan was empty of sand because they had thrown it everywhere. There's still some sand on the floor down here. That's about all that made it out of the trays. Most of it landed in the manure tray, or there was some into their food tray, but they had thrown out at least the initial part that I put in. So I grabbed another cup of sand, put it in there, and without even waiting for my hand to come out of the cage, there was at least 2 of them in there that were having a jolly good time playing in the sand. By the time I came down this morning and checked on them, they had thrown out the entire cup of sand that I'd put in with them, and so I found they enjoy their sandbox. I wasn't too sure, as scared as they were to begin with, what they were going to think of it, but definitely by the end of the evening, they enjoyed their sandbox. My goal is to probably give them their sandbox at least once a week, if not more, and usually about halfway through the day, so that they can eat their food without any issues, and I shouldn't have any problems with them filling up their food tray with sand. I have found that the manure trays are a whole lot easier to clean using the paper towels on them. I basically take them out and dump them into my old compost bin. and it dumps out fairly clean. It doesn't take any actual washing of them right now. I have once wiped it down with another paper towel, but usually I just leave them sitting out in my larger shed and let them air out. And then in the morning, I put another 20 paper towels down onto it and switch the trays out and dump it. So I've got my morning process down to maybe 10 minutes as I switch out the trays, and then I check to see if they need any food. And most likely I just usually every other day it looks like I need to give them another cup of food, and every day I've been giving them a handful of mealworms. They definitely enjoy their mealworms. I know when I was giving in about half, or not a full handful, they were going through them without any problems, and there was none left. From when I changed out to giving them 2 full handfuls, so there's usually a couple left each morning. So I think that's about right for them, but I know that they are still growing. They haven't started laying eggs yet, so we'll see what happens. They may stop eating as many mealworms once they start laying eggs. We'll have to see if I get them enough calcium through the oyster shells, because it's going to take me a while to go through the 50-pound bag of feed that I've got, and it doesn't have any calcium added to it. So, but I think they're at least old enough that I'm supplementing some calcium in there, and hopefully shouldn't hurt them too bad. But I'm getting used to having them and going past them throughout the day. They're getting used to me being around and aren't as afraid. The first couple of days is last week on Monday and Tuesday. Anytime I would walk past the cage, they would run to a corner and all hide. Nowadays, they kind of just watch me go past, and if it's first thing in the morning, they're all at the front of the cage, because they know that that's usually when they get their mealworms, and have been definitely very happy with that. So it's been an interesting week and a half, and we'll see where it goes from here, but all of them seem to be healthy and doing just fine, and they eat without any problems. They make a lot of a mess, and they definitely, especially since they're in my workshop directly below my office, since I go past them every day, their manure trays need to be cleaned every day. They do make that much of a mess, and at times they make quite the smell. I don't notice it upstairs that much, but you do notice it when you're walking past. So at least that's where I'm at for right now. I figured I'd give an update. I wish I'd videoed yesterday when they were playing in the sand, but they were a little skittish on it, so I decided to wait. And by the time I got around to doing anything, it was after lights out, and they do go to sleep as soon as lights are out, unless I turn the lights on, and then they squawk and make noises. And so I've learned if I come down here after 8 o'clock, I don't turn the lights on down here. I only turn them on upstairs, and they seem to sleep through that just fine. They don't seem to care if I'm moving down here. It's just if the lights get on, they definitely wake up and they start moving again. So that's it for today. Hopefully there'll be more later.